Hi guys, Love Book Triangle Lindsay here, and this video is featuring the author Ellen Hopkins. She is an author that I have always wanted to meet, and I got the opportunity last week. She came to a bookstore near me, and I was really excited to go. Ellen Hopkins, her first book, I believe, was Crank in 2004. This story follows a girl who was a straight A student, but then all of a sudden she goes to visit her father for the summer and she becomes a druggie. She doesn't have the energy or the life that she had before, and her life just goes in a whirlwind and it turns upside down. Now this story is actually about Ellen's daughter. The book, she kind of goes with a bang here and she hits true to home, and part of the reason why I really enjoy Ellen's writing is because she writes about the deep issues. This one's about drugs. One of my favorite books by her, Rumble, is about suicide. She has sex trafficking, guns. It's just all the deep stuff that some people are afraid to talk about. Now Ellen has around maybe 20 or so books and maybe some short stories in some other books, and I own quite a few of them. There were two that I read at the library that I don't own, but there's still a few more I have to get. And like I said, I really enjoy her because she hits the deeper issues, and this book about her daughter is actually a three-part book with a novella in it. For her to write about such deep issues and for those issues to hit so hard at home, I think not only does that take courage when it does revolve around your life, but it's also great that she's doing these subjects for the younger generation. And at the signing, she talked about how she likes doing YA books because she thinks the younger kids need to learn about this stuff. It's happening around you. You can't just sugarcoat everything and then send your child out into the real world. Books like Ellen's, I think, are good for the younger generation because it gives the kids the insight into other things going on, so they're not naive or they don't fall victim like her daughter did. Just one small mistake and that could change your life forever. And now Ellen is raising 3 children all over again. She's 63 years old. She's raising her grandchildren. So I think it's just so empowering for her to write these strong subjects for young adults. And she does a lot of talks at high schools as well. Before our signing that was at night, she had been to 2 high schools earlier that day. My favorite books of hers is Rumble, Following the Suicide, and just reading some of these books, it really makes you think about your life and how thankful you are for your life, because even though you may have come home and had a bad day, there are people out there probably having it worse than you. And books like this one, you also have to stop and think, man, suicide is bad for the person that happened to and the reasons they may have done it, but it affects so many more people than just the suicide victim. It affects the families. People start to think, why didn't I see this? What could I have done to help? And it touches home on those as well. And I brought that one to get signed, and it was cool because Ellen had something to write in each book, and she also wrote September 18 because that's when it happened. So I brought 4 books along with me, but then I also had this 5th book signed because this is what her tour was for. This is her latest book that come out, People Kill People, and I am halfway through it right now, and you are the perspective of the gun. You get to read as if you were the gun, and I thought that was a pretty interesting thing she took on to write, and she said she wrote this differently than she's written her other books. And part of the reason I love her writing so much is she writes in poem, so it's a different style of writing. This book, you don't see it as much because, as I said, she took a different approach to this, so it is a little different, but still it's fun to read. And she did something she normally doesn't do, and you are taking in the character. You're supposed to hop in their skin when you read their parts. This story follows 5 different characters, then you fade in and fade out of each character, and in between you are the gun. I think this book is very important to issues that are going on in our world today. There's, you know, I'm not gonna go into the big political aspect of it because I don't want to do that. But there's a lot of different perspectives in here. There's a guy who's all about white power. There's a girl who hates guns because her father was murdered. And then there's other 3 characters, and they have different perspectives on things going on as well. So in the beginning you get a little blurb of something that happened, and a gun ends up being sold. So your job is to figure out, while you're reading this book, which one of the 5 characters bought that gun and then committed a crime with it. So not only do you get to read about the deeper issues, you also get to try to solve what's going on in the book. And so far I really don't have a clue who it's going to be. A lot of them have tough things going on in their life, and a lot of them in their head think they have a justified reason to be using one. So right now I'm kind of clueless on who's that going to be. But this is her latest read that just came out this month, and I am enjoying it so far. It was funny because I had to tell her at the signing that she's kind of ruining my bookshelf because this book is such a different size compared to the other one. She has written a few adult books, but Ellen has said herself that she wants to stick to the YA to help reach the kids. Also, one of the children, her grandchildren that she is now raising, she also said she wants to try writing a middle grade novel to help reach some kids. They could be more familiar with certain ways that kids act or behave, so you realize, oh, this person in my classroom, they're not weird, or the kids will be like, I want to interact with that person because they're different. So I think that's really special that she wants to reach out and write a book to even a younger group of kids, so she can help them understand things better. Integrating some of her things in the classrooms, I think it's great. I know a lot of these books, they are touchy subjects, and people might not want their children, or they might not even want to read them themselves, which is totally acceptable because some things that happen can really get to you, and that, again, that is why I like them, because she goes deep. And Ellen said she's a strong feminist, she's a strong activist, she just gets out there and speaks what's happening. I was so excited I got to meet her. She was high on the top of my list for authors I wanted to meet. We had some good laughs, and I just really liked her explaining for why she writes the books that she does and why she hits the subjects that she writes about. So there it is. Ellen Hopkins is my featured author of the month, and I highly, highly recommend that you go pick up some books by her if you want a nice, deep read. So next time, guys, bye.